Hey guys, welcome back. This is Tucker from Matt Kite, and today we're going to get into our trick tips here, and we're going to teach you how to do kind of an intermediate level transition, which is a foil jibe with a stance change. So we're going to change our feet position, go from heel side to heel side, and this is kind of like that quintessential foil stance change or foil transition that you're seeing everybody out there doing. It's kind of a tough one to master. So don't get down on yourself. We're going to walk you through it, give you all the right steps so you can learn easily and safely, and just make it easier on yourself going through it in the right way. So we're going to learn this foil jibe with a stance change. Let's just glide right into it, get in there, and get this thing started. So there's a couple of things you're going to want to learn before you get out there and try to tackle a foil stance change. That first thing you want to do is learn how to do your transitions from heel side to toe side and toe side to heel side downwind, so those jibes without a foot stance change. Be really comfortable with that, your kite movements, and just get really dialed on that before you progress to a stance change. It's going to help you know how to get your kite movements going, what the foil is going to do through that turn, and just get you going in the right way. Additionally, you're going to want to be able to ride regular and unnatural comfortably. So with left foot forward and the right foot forward going heel side, you want to be comfortable doing that, because after you do your stance change, you're going to be riding unnatural, or if you're doing it the other direction, you're going to start a natural and then end regular stance going heel side. So you want to be comfortable riding that way, otherwise that transition's kind of all for naught. One good thing you can do before you even hit the water is practice your footwork on this. So take off your foil, set your foil on a nice sandy beach or in grass where you're not going to damage it, and practice the footwork. So good, look at this part where we're talking about changing your feet. Get out there in the grass and practice your foot stance changes. Get the muscle memory down, figure out where you're going to put your feet. And it sounds kind of like a silly or like unnecessary step, but it's really going to help build that muscle memory in your feet, get you where you want to go, so that when you're doing everything at once, it just comes more naturally. Another thing you're going to want to do before you hit the water is decide where you're going to do the stance change throughout the transition. So there's no real way you have to do it. You could go before, during the transition, or after for the stance change. Most people are going to find that doing it before the transition is the best way to go. It allows you to complete that stance change before you lose a lot of momentum and board speed, which equals stability on the foil. And then also you can kind of carve it into your heel side in a real stylish way, and it just works out really well that way. Once you progress past that, you can do it in the middle or at the end of the transition, or if you just find it more comfortable. Sometimes I like to do my stance change when I'm going unnatural after the transition. Just kind of comes more naturally to me sometimes. You can go that route as well, but just decide what you're going to do so you're not getting confused, and really walk through it in your mind. As with all of our videos, go ahead and hit the eye icon in the upper right hand corner of the video. That's going to take you to our Foil Knowledge Center, where you can get printable steps and a more in-depth blog about how this stuff goes together. Some equipment that you're going to want to have for this: if you have multiple wing sets, rig your big wing set. Bigger wings have more stability, they've got more lift, which is going to mean you have more stability at a lower rate of speed, and it's just less intimidating going into a transition where you're moving your feet around on the board. When you have more stability at a lower rate of speed, going in there really fast on an unstable foil can be a big undertaking and quite intimidating. And as always, as you're learning a new trick on the foil, it's never a bad idea to put on a helmet and an impact vest. Not necessarily a requirement, but when you're learning new stuff, crazy things happen, and you want to make sure you're protecting yourself in the best way possible. So I get this question a lot as well: strapless, straps, hooks. For this trick, learning this trick, we recommend to use strapless board or foot hooks. And the reason for that is it just really simplifies things when you don't need to pull your feet out of straps before doing the transition. You can just kind of slide your feet around naturally without having to step on straps or slide in and out of straps. All right, so you got all that going, you're ready to roll, you're going to get out there to the water and do it. How are we going to do this? Let's get in the meat and potatoes. I'll walk you through it, and we can get to where we're going here. The first thing you're going to want to do when you get out on the water is cruise around a little bit, figure out a comfortable board speed, and kind of find that sweet spot on the board where that lift is, where, you know, if you kind of center your weight around that, it becomes really easy and stable to ride. Just forward of that is where you're going to want to place your front foot and get your secondary, your back foot, move forward to that position when you're going to be making the transition. So again, you want to find that right speed. You want to be comfortable, but you also don't want to be really lacking for speed, because the slower you go, the less stable that foil will become. And you do need a certain amount of speed to complete the transition, because the kite power is not always going to be there. So when you're finding that sweet spot, bring your feet closer together in that area. You don't need your feet super wide apart. It's going to make really jolty, really exaggerated movements in the foil when you're doing that. So bring your feet a little closer together, you know, maybe 10 to 12 inches apart, straddling that sweet spot. That's where your feet want to be going into the transition. So you're going to want to initiate this by bringing the kite high in the window. So bring that kite up. As the kite reaches close to the apex, go ahead and pull in. That'll take some of your weight off of the board. Slide your back foot forward next to your front foot, and quickly slide the opposite foot backwards to replace where your rear foot was. You can then begin to kind of lay into your downwind carve and start that transition. You want to practice this with the board a little lower to the water, or even on top of the water when you're first trying it, just to get it kind of figured out. That way you're not falling from a tall, you know, mast or really high up when you're playing with it. And having that mast a little lower in the water is going to allow more stability in the foil. So when you're first going into it, keep the board low, and you can progressively go higher and higher on the mast and become kind of more stylish and speedy as you get more comfortable with this. So you got the foot stance transition, you're beginning to carve downwind. You immediately want to pull hard on your front hand. What that's going to do is down loop the kite, give you that power to complete the transition all the way through. Like with any down loop transition, if you've done them from heel side to toe side or toe side to heel side, like we've talked about in previous videos, you're going to have that burst of power as the kite comes across the window. So when that's happening, you want to be pointed downwind and then slowly begin to edge upwind in the opposite direction as that power kind of kicks in. Remember, you're going to accelerate quickly, so get ready to lean forward on that front foot to kind of equalize the pressure so you don't surface the wings and end up falling again. So bring that kite high, change your feet, down loop it, and come around to the other side. You want to do it in one big fluid motion. There shouldn't be any stopping of the kite or any stalling of the foil. The smoother you can do it, the better you can keep your speed, the easier it's going to become. And that's where that practice, you know, from being on land is really going to kick in with the footwork and match up with your previous skills that you've built doing those heel side to toe side jibes and toe side to heel side jibes going downwind. So I talked about doing this with a down loop. If you're dealing with a little bit more power, or you're just having more speed that you don't really want to down loop that, you're just feeling timid or whatever, you can always do it with a 10 to 2 movement as well. You're just going to have to be a little bit more exaggerated with your kite movement going in the opposite direction. So rather than doing a down loop at the apex after you change your feet, you're simply going to steer the kite back in the other direction with a backhand steering impulse, bring it back down, and then have to correct it again going up. A lot of people are going to find it's a little easier with a down loop. It's just a little bit more set it and forget it. You get a little bit more power to complete that turn and not have to worry about steering the kite so much. But if you're dealing with a little bit more power, maybe you're just a little overpowered on your kite for some reason that day, you can go ahead and do, you know, a higher movement in the sky rather than down looping the kite through the window and generating all that speed. So there's a couple of additional tips that are going to help you be successful in this one, because it is kind of a tough one to master. Number one, if you're falling, just commit to that fall. Go along with it. Don't try to fight it, overcorrect, and make a bad car wreck worse. You know, the more you fight it, the worse it's going to be. If you just fall along with the foil, no big deal. Go at it, get it next time. Just commit to that fall, know when you're about to go. Also, don't get down on yourself too much. This is a really hard one. Even really athletic, experienced kiters, this takes them many, many hours of practice to get right. So commit to it, get your practice and your homework done beforehand, make sure you're comfortable foiling, comfortable with riding, you know, unnatural, regular stance, get your heel side to toe side, your toe side to heel side jabs down, especially with the down loop. Be really comfortable with that before you progress to the foot stance jibe, and you're gonna be a lot happier. You know, it's a really tough one, so really, you know, get out there, give it your best go, and don't get too upset when you don't get it the first try, because it's probably gonna take you 100 tries. I know it did for me for sure. I'm still having difficulty with it on occasion, especially on my unnatural side. So, you know, it's a tough one to master for sure, but the more you practice, the better you'll get, and hopefully these steps outlined it well for you. Hey guys, don't forget to hit that eye icon in the upper right hand corner. Get to the written blog, print those steps to take to the beach with you, so you can reference these when you're out there about to give it a go, and let us know how you enjoy it. If you enjoyed this video, as always, feel free to give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel if you want to see more videos. This has been Tucker with Matt Kite. Thanks for watching.